The Nintendo space right now online is so primarily negative, where everyone's just doom posting and doom commenting about the company and about how the last couple of years have felt kind of off for Nintendo. Now, I'm not going to sit here and lie and act like I don't feel that way. Yes, I feel like Nintendo is in a very weird spot right now. I feel like the games are coming out don't have the quality that they should, and there's bigger gaps in between the games that we really care about. And Nintendo's just kind of ignoring news and announcements, skipping Nintendo Directs, not giving us information on even the games that we know that are coming right now. But with all of that said, today's video is different. We're not going to focus on the negatives, we're going to focus on the positives. Nintendo's lineup right now looks pretty dull. You know, it's not the best, but I really do feel like any day now Nintendo can announce a huge Nintendo Direct that completely changes this year around. Nintendo has already came out on record and said that year 2 and year 3 are extremely important to them. I mean, can't you tell? No, seriously, can't you tell?
Hey, Nintendo Land, it's a positive video!
Oh yeah, I know. Positive. Sorry. It's no secret that Nintendo hasn't done too much special to start the year so far. I mean, they skipped their normal general Nintendo Directs that normally air around February. It seems Nintendo is moving away from that now, and now having Nintendo Directs a little later in the year. This year looks like Nintendo's prioritizing other things first before their first party lineup, like third-party games, Pokemon 30th anniversary stuff, you know, everything else but Nintendo games. But what if their plan is just to get everything out of the way that's not important for the middle or second half of this year? Because that's where all the bangers are going to drop. I mean, yeah, it was pretty strange for them to have a Nintendo Treehouse on Mario Wonder Switch 2 edition of all things and Pokemon Pokopia, but what if the reason they did this was to simply get ready for the new reveals and the stuff that they really have to talk about? I mean, we now officially have all of our release dates and information on the next 3 games. Pokemon Pokopia, Mario Wonder Switch 2 edition, and Tomodachi Life all have release dates and every information that it could possibly need right now. Now, with Pokemon coming out at the beginning of March and Mario Wonder at the end of March, it makes me think that, well, there's a chance that they could actually move into April until we get a Nintendo Direct. I mean, last year we had a Switch 1 Focus Direct at the very end of March, and we had a Switch 2 Direct at the very beginning of April. So, I mean, from March to like the middle of April, I think is a time slot when we could have the next Direct. I just don't know when. Now, we're obviously very hungry for a meaty Nintendo Direct this time, because the last Nintendo Direct that we got, I think a lot of people thought it was one of the worst that we've gotten in a while. I mean, this was one of the major reveals. But yes, we love Directs for their announcements at the very beginning and end of the show, but I feel like Directs are normally as good as the content Nintendo has for them. Like, no duh, but when there's a lot of games coming out, and a lot of those games we have no information about, I normally find those Directs to be the most interesting. Not necessarily the ones where we don't know anything that's coming. Now, let's look at what we have so far and what we actually have announced for what dates so far. We have January through April already slated. We've already made it through January and February, so now we enter March with Pokemon Pokopia and Mario Wonder Switch 2 edition. And April just has Tomodachi Life Living the Dream, which is just a Switch 1 game though. You gotta remember that. So honestly, this is the exact reason why I believe March and April to be the golden time frame for a Nintendo Direct, because they gotta get out some information, and March just makes the most sense to me. I'd say the second or third week of March just sounds like a lock-in based on my assumption, not based on leaks. Do not listen to leaks. Now, as far as April goes, I think Tomodachi Life is going to be all we're getting on the game side of things. Now, there could be some announcements, maybe a Nintendo Direct in that month, but I think it's primarily going to be saved for the Mario movie. And that's why I still feel like March is a good time for a Nintendo Direct before you get into the Mario movie stuff. They're going to want to spend most of that month just focused on the movie alone. But now it's time to move on to what we know. We know Yoshi and the Mysterious Book is coming out sometime soon. The first game I want to talk about is Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. I feel like this game is going to hit the tail end of spring. That's when it's listed, just spring so far of 2026. So I'm assuming that this game is probably going to be sometime in May. I could even see them somehow squeezing this into April alongside Tomodachi Life. Since Tomodachi Life is a Switch 1 game, I feel like squeezing it with a Switch 2 game in the same month could make a lot of sense. So boom, right there, that fills out our first 5 months. But odds are people are not going to be still super thrilled about this. I mean, it's another 2D Yoshi game, and it doesn't look like it's going to be anything super spectacular so far. But the next 7 months, that's where it's about to get juicy. I feel like Nintendo's spending the first half of this year recouping and getting everything ready for a big blowout for the second half. And something that I think would be perfect slap dab in the middle of this year, around June or July, is Splatoon Raiders. Now, Splatoon has always felt like a summer game to me, of course, but especially Raiders. This big single-player adventure game on an island in the middle of the ocean, I mean, it just screams summertime to me. And I feel like early summer just makes sense. So let's go ahead and slap Raiders in June for now. Now, Fire Emblem's been kind of all over the place, but a couple of some of its last installments have actually launched around the summertime, so I actually think there's a chance we'd probably get this around the same time frame as Splatoon. I mean, it was announced around the same time as well, so it just makes sense to me. And I think this would be a great way for them to finish off the summer. Just have Splatoon and Fire Emblem run the summer months. So now let's throw Fire Emblem in the month of July for now, and that leaves one more game that we don't know about, and I think it fits perfectly in August. For most people, Rhythm Heaven Groove is not going to be a major title. For me, yes. For a lot of other people, probably not. But after a pretty big summer filled with some pretty big games, I think having Rhythm Heaven in August just to calm things down just a little bit before jumping into the big holiday season is going to be perfect. Now we're getting into the holiday season, and I'm going to say the big holiday game is going to be around October, which leaves the month of September for something. And what do I think it's going to be? I think it's going to be The Legend of Zelda. I think Nintendo's going to talk about the Zelda anniversary stuff probably between the next Direct and the summertime. That's normally when they do it, so that's going to be earlier on in the year, but the actual Zelda anniversary big game for the year is not going to release until later on this year. And as I don't think it's time for the next game yet, in fact I know it's not time for the next game yet, it's only been 3 years since Tears of the Kingdom, I think we're going to be getting a huge remaster, or what I think a remake of a popular game. And that rumored game for a while now has been Ocarina of Time. Yes, I think a huge Ocarina of Time remake could really go crazy this year for the holiday season. No, I don't think this is going to be the holiday game. I think this paired with another huge game the following month could make for an awesome conclusion to the year.
Next up on Wheel of Fortune, we have Nintendo Land. So the theme of today's phrase is Nintendo Forgot, aka the holiday game.
Can I get an A, please?
We have 1A.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go with an O. There is 1 O. We got this. We got this. We got this. Let's go with a D.
There's 1D.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Is there a reason why she ain't moving? I'm ready to solve. I think I'm ready to solve. I'm ready to solve. Okay. What is 3D Mario?
You got it! Congratulations!
If Nintendo only has like 1 or 2 new announcements for this year, and just one of them is like a big 3D Mario, a huge holiday title maybe of equivalence, then oh my gosh, Nintendo is going to massively save this year. It's not quite that lightning in the bottle Nintendo had in 2017 with a new open world Zelda game being Breath of the Wild and a 3D sandbox Mario game being Super Mario Odyssey in the same year, like 9 months apart. You're never gonna get that again probably, but this would be a dang near close one. If Mario's like Breath of the Wild levels of super ambition, and then you have a big remake of something like Ocarina of Time that's completely remade from the ground up, dude, Nintendo would run over the competition this holiday season. Nothing could get in there. Almost nothing could get in their way, especially if all the other games in this lineup perform to their top ability. Mario Tennis Fever is actually a really good sports game to start the year. Continue the quality with Pokemon Pokopia and Tomodachi Life, and then if Yoshi is actually a really good 2D game followed by an extremely good single-player adventure spinoff with Splatoon Raiders, a really good JRPG experience that takes you back to Three Houses style of gameplay with Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, Rhythm Heaven Groove does really well, and then obviously your big Zelda and Mario to end the year. Wow, they are firing. Now, I had to throw in one more thing because Nintendo normally just skips December, but November should have something, and I think this is room for maybe a remaster, some type of port of an old game again, maybe even another Switch 2 edition, but I think something like Kirby related would fit well here. Kirby's always squeezing himself into some part of the calendar year. I mean, for a while, I thought for sure we'd be getting Planet Robobot and Triple Deluxe coming over to the Switch 2, but we still haven't seen or heard anything about these games. I mean, I thought they'd be on Switch 1 at this point, but maybe HAL Labs is still working with these games and doing something really good with them, like even adding some extended content like they did with Kirby's Return to Dreamland with the Magalore epilogue. So maybe they're doing it again with like Susie's epilogue for Planet Robobot, or Taranza's epilogue for Triple Deluxe. Or what if they're combining both of the games for a cool double pack of Triple Deluxe and Planet Robobot? So yes, I think this would be a pretty good lineup, and this is with them only announcing a couple new games for this year, because all the way up until August is stuff that we already know about. Wait a second. You see that? It's a Pokemon. Of course I didn't forget about Pokemon's anniversary. We might be having Pokopia at the beginning of the year, but of course we gotta think of our mainline stuff because it's time for Gen 10, and pretty much all the leaks have dropped and we know a lot about this game already. It's another open world, gonna be called Wind and Wave it looks like this time around, and it's probably gonna be revealed literally tomorrow at the Pokemon Presents. I mean, as of the time of you watching this, it might have already been revealed, sorry. Does it look good? Please tell me it looks good. Are there windows? But you add this to the fray, oh my gosh, Gen 10, a 3D Mario, and on top of all of that, a big remake of a popular Zelda game. That's a holiday season that's gonna rival some of the best, especially if you can't fall through the map. So this is what I'm assuming the final schedule is going to look like, which, like I said, this looks too good to be true, which probably means it is. So maybe you're a little underwhelmed with the Switch 2 right now. Sure, maybe it's not the best console in the world, and maybe it hasn't had the best Nintendo Directs ever, and maybe the game's qualities aren't up to
Hey dog, you said
I know,
positive
that's on me,
video.
that's on me, I'm sorry. Positivity. Regardless of how you feel right now, Nintendo always comes back and they come back strong, and I'm sure there's a huge Nintendo Direct being planned and announced any day now.
Any day now.